It's been a little while. But, let's see. I wanted to say something about something that I read this morning. And it has to do with level of functioning and severity of autism. It put it on something I kind of already knew. But how a person can be considered high functioning based on their intelligence, but yet they can still have severe autism. Basically that the functioning stuff really isn't official in terms of diagnosis. Many people know by now that there's a new DSM coming out very soon, and a lot of people have been afraid of that, but for instance, people who have the diagnosis of Asperger's, which I was mistakenly identified with last summer, but I never really considered myself as having Asperger's, because one thing differentiates Asperger's from the high functioning autism, and that was that, for instance, in my case, I had speech delay, significant speech delay. But in all honesty, having high functioning autism doesn't make me any less, doesn't make me any worse off than somebody who has Asperger's, nor does it make me any better off than somebody who might be considered lower functioning because of their lack of verbal skills. I take, for example, Carly Fleischman, and if you've not heard of her, there's a lovely video on YouTube you can find about her, from the news segment that discussed how she learned to communicate. And also there's a book that she co-authored with her father, called Carly's Voice. It's really inspirational and very well written, and gives a lot of insight into what she deals with on a day-to-day basis having autism. But she is nonverbal, yet very, very intelligent. She just can't talk. She has to use some kind of a device to help her talk. Again, proving that really, I guess like the post said, functioning based on intellect versus functioning based on severity of autism. You can be very high functioning intellectually, but very severe in terms of the autism. And it's too variable, because again, autism is a spectrum. So really, in each case, when the new DSM comes out, this is what I see as an advantage. Those who were previously categorized as having Asperger's will now be on the same spectrum as any other individual who is on that spectrum. And as I understand what the spectrum is going to look at is the level of support that is needed. For instance, I have therapy, and the only reason I really have that is because I have somebody who was very generous, is very kind, and decided to take me on, even though most of what she works with is children. And see, that's something else that needs to be addressed, is adults could still benefit from therapy. But I have a lot of challenges, a lot of really significant challenges, even though I am very smart and I'm verbal, or at least moderately verbal. I still have a lot of challenges, so, I'm probably not exactly high functioning. But, again, it is a spectrum, so that has to be taken in consideration. I think where the new DSM guidelines could be helpful is that since it puts everybody back into one broad spectrum, there might be more access to services for those who did not qualify for services before. And I think that could be a plus for the new guidelines. Anyway, that's all I really have to say today. I'm not really feeling very well. So, yeah.